All right, so here's part one of the project I want to do with my Lander Blue Turquoise. You guys, I lost my key to my safe deposit box. Have you guys ever done that? You gotta get someone down here and drill it open. It's a little embarrassing. So I'm gonna take some of the gold in here and I'm going to have it melted down for a super cool project I'm gonna do with my Lander Blue Turquoise. So step one is getting this drilled open. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and getting the gold. Hello, so continuing on my journey for making my pieces of Lander Blue become a beautiful piece of jewelry. I'll be meeting with Wes Willie next week about the commission, and I am here with Mike Ryan to pick up the final of 6 cabs of Lander Blue that are going to accompany the Ranger belt. And the Ranger belt I got from Jim Olson, and after I won the auction, I immediately received an email that someone else wanted to buy it off me, not 5 seconds later, and I had to keep it. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cabs, and I'm hoping I can make maybe a beautiful nausea or something like that. But I'm very excited to introduce Mike. He has a wonderful book called Turquoise in America, and he wore a fabulous bolo for us today by Wes Willie, full of Morenci turquoise and beautiful pyrite. And he also brought a gorgeous cuff that Wes Willie did.
Here, there you go.
That's pretty magnificent. And he was nice enough to come and hand deliver these to me so we could chat a little bit about turquoise. Mike, could you tell my viewers a little bit about Lander Blue and what it is, who may not know?
Sure. Well, Lander Blue, as readers of Turquoise in America Part 2, and Turquoise in America is a 3-volume set, although Part 3 is now sold out.
Yeah, it's a great book.
So a little advanced knowledge. We will have a sale in November, first 2 weeks of November. So if you post this in time for folks to see that, they can get a 20% discount on the books.
Fabulous.
So Lander Blue was first located in 1974.
Okay.
And you'll have to forgive me on the dates and that, you know, sometimes I have to go and double check myself in the book because
that's your encyclopedia.
I do. That's my reference. It was located, which was when the mine was first registered, and that gets into the whole registration of mines, because most of the turquoise is on public lands, and the law is the 1872 Mining Act. Can you imagine? We still have a law pertaining to mining on public lands from 1872. Yeah. And it's one size fits all. So you have the same for a miner, a turquoise miner, who's digging a septic size hole in the ground, and Kennecott Copper, who's mining huge open pit mines with sulfuric acid and all the other stuff. But in any case, Rita Hapgood was a single mom in Battle Mountain, Nevada, and she was a blackjack dealer at the Nevada Club in Battle Mountain. So she wanted to have a picnic, so she went with her sister, who had a son, and she had her son, and her father went with them. And she was sort of into the 70s, and she was into the kind of mystical things that were going on then. So she had gotten a Ouija board that had told her to go to this particular area, have the picnic. And a lot of these stories, they can be anecdotal, and you have to be careful about them. But I did the research, and her brother-in-law, who was married to the sister who accompanied Rita when they went on this picnic, verified this. Yes, amazing. It was the Ouija board, so that is true. So they went there, and it wasn't Rita who found this, it was her father. And I imagine the boys were running around, as they will do, and the grandpa was keeping an eye on them. And so he was up there and he saw this nugget. So that's where he got the first nugget. And you can see a picture of that in part 3 because Bob Bruscia, a well-known turquoise dealer, bought those from Rita.
Interesting.
So that was 74. Now, she's a single mother, blackjack dealer there, and she had no capital. She had no knowledge about turquoise. What's she going to do with this claim? She filed this claim. So she sold it to the owner of the casino.
Oh.
And his friend who was a miner had mining experience, and that was the background of the Lander Blue claim, which was the originally filed as the Mary Louise. It still is the Mary Louise, which is Rita's mother's name.
Did Rita get to stay involved?
No, once she got, they sold it for $10,000.
Okay.
And everybody says, oh, $10,000 for the Lander Blue. Well, now this is in 1975, and for a single mother, she wasn't even making probably $5,000 a year.
She hit the jackpot.
So this was great for her. And she had no means to develop that property.
Sure.
So that was developed. It was what is considered a hat mine. The entire mine, if you want to call it that, is about a 20 by 20 space. And you can see that. We took a trip out there with Bob Bruscia, who is the current owner of the claim, on our blog at turquoiseinamerica.com.
Yeah, everybody check that out. He's amazing. I've watched his YouTube videos and bought his book, and I've learned a lot. I'm definitely still an amateur, but I've learned a lot.
Yeah, but you can see there with the size of that claim, it was difficult to get the equipment in there. They mined it, and it very quickly played out.
Yeah.
So there was 110 pounds that was extracted. But what was unique about Lander Blue was that a very high percentage of it was what we call gem grade or very high grade.
What is gem grade?
Well, gem grade is a term that I use. Many people don't like it, but I developed a grading system, the turquoise grading system, to get a TG score. And it grades on color, hardness, and matrix.
Is the clarity of the matrix going to get you a higher score?
You know, the matrix it's a very subjective. It's by subjective observation.
Okay.
Although we do now have a scientific method of testing called X-ray fluorescence that can not only identify mine source by its analysis of the chemistry of the elements, but can also assign a...
That's so amazing.
It is amazing.
Because you did this on all of these cabs, right?
I did. Because as I was telling you earlier, I had bought some larger pieces out of a squash blossom with Bob. So I was very confident in the provenance of those. But I'd accumulated a lot of these little ones. And what will happen unless you're really meticulous with your records? You kind of look and go, where did I get that? And what was that? So I wanted to be very sure before I offered them for sale.
Yeah, we appreciate
that.
So
I did have them tested. And of the whole group, they all came back as Lander Blue except one.
I saw that on the website.
Which actually was the prettiest one.
It was beautiful and it was big.
The most beautiful one. And it came out as Chinese. So I sold that as faux, which means false Lander. And interesting, it sold for $40 a carat, and the Lander Blue sold for $400 a carat.
Yeah.
So
it's
that
the
just
difference,
gives you an idea of that. But anytime you're buying, especially at those very high prices, you better make sure of your provenance.
Yes, that's a cautionary tale because I shared with my viewers a mistake I had made earlier in the year with that. Now, obviously, this is a very low production mine. It's not producing now. What of all the mines that folks might be familiar with is kind of the highest production mine? Is it Kingman?
It's Kingman.
It's Kingman. Okay.
Yeah, Kingman is the only full-time producer.
Okay.
The turquoise market in terms of extraction is very segmented.
Sure.
Turquoise has never had any interest to the large mining companies.
Right.
They would regard it in much of the way that a farmer would regard prairie dogs, or a farmer would regard a weed.
Sure.
And a rancher would regard prairie dogs. It's a nuisance.
Interesting.
Because there's just not, it's too
much
costly,
effort for the yield.
Too much effort for the yield.
Yeah.
And you cannot predict reserves. So, you know, if you're going after gold or silver or any of those other minerals, you can run your test holes, you find your seams, you can estimate reserves.
Sure.
And you know the current price now,
Sure.
you know what the extraction costs are. It's a business model.
Yeah.
You can't do that with turquoise.
Sure, that makes
so
sense.
It gets highly segmented, and the only full-time mining production is cobalt, the cobalt operation at Kingman.
Sure. Okay.
Marty and Josh Cobalt, and they do a great job. Although they're at Kingman, you know, in general, about 80% of all turquoise is too soft to be used in jewelry without some form of treatment. At Kingman, it's even higher.
And so is that natural if it isn't treated at all? Is that what you call natural?
That's natural.
And that's more rare.
Treatment. Well, yes. I mean, in Nevada, it's generally about 20%.
Sure.
And of that 20%, about 15% is mid-grade to high mid-grade. 5% would be considered high grade. 1% is very high grade. And what I call gem grade is 0.1%. 1/10 of 1%.
Wow.
All turquoise would qualify as gem grade, making it one of the rarest gemstones on the planet.
What do you see for the future of turquoise?
Well, you know, we used to think that the first turquoise came out of the Sinai in Egypt. And a lot of that came because in the 70s, there was a tour of the Tutankhamun, the tombs of Tutankhamun.
King Tut.
King Tut. And of course, everybody thinks of the song.
Funky Tut.
Funky Tut. And so we thought that was the first around 3000 BC or so. But now, more recently, there have been archaeological discoveries in western Iran that indicate that there was turquoise there as early as 7000 BC. That's the very origin of historical life.
Yeah.
That in the Fertile Crescent there, that was the kingdom of Elam. So turquoise has been around for a long time. People have loved it. You had the Egyptian out of Sinai, China around 2000 BC. You have the ancestral Puebloan mining here in the southwest and an active trade route somewhere between 800 and 1300 with the ancestral Puebloan. So people have loved turquoise for a long time. So is it likely that we human beings will all of a sudden
Continue
say, no,
to?
I don't
Yeah.
like that turquoise stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's something very special about turquoise.
Sure, I agree. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for hand delivering these beautiful cabs.
My pleasure.
I just want to show them one more time because they are so stunning. And if you guys are interested in turquoise, which I know many of you are, please go over. I will link below Mike's YouTube channel, and that will also bring you to the link for his book. And he sells cabs like this from time to time that are curated by him on his website. So thank you very much, Mike.
Okay, thank you,
All
Christy.
right, thank you.
Bye.
Some nice Lander stones. So I remember back in the 90s, I was new to the jewelry, and I was looking for some Lander blue. I had never heard of Lander blue until I met a guy in Delray Beach, Florida.
Oh, wow.
He was at a show I was doing, and he asked me if I had any Lander blue. I said, "What's that?" So he told me about the mine, and then I started researching it.
Right.
And there was none to be found anywhere. So in the early 2000s, the two guys that dug out the turquoise, Marvin and Bob,
Marvin Symes.
they decided to sell their collection.
Right.
And they had trays
Yeah.
of Lander blue.
Did you get to go see it?
Yeah, I got
Cool.
to see it, and at the time I was friends with Joe Dan Laurie, and I had started to know him, And then there's this guy named Jim Gillen. He was up from Wisconsin. And so Jim and then Joe Dan wanted to get together and start a thing where they wanted to buy the collection.
Yeah.
So it was out for bid, and Joe Dan put in a bid, and then Jim's the one that won the bid. So he bought the one collection.
The guy from Wisconsin.
Yeah, and
where is it
they
now?
brought it to Joe Dan Lowry's studio or museum, the Turquoise Museum in Albuquerque, and we took them all out.
How fun!
All on a table.
Yeah.
And the plan was just to get so many artists and then just start setting them in jewelry and sell them like that.
Sure.
So the winning bid was $15 a carat.
Jeez.
So that's what he bought the whole lot for.
And now we're at 400.
And right away, they bumped up the price to $50 a carat.
Sure.
So that's where he started selling it. And people high graded, so the deal went down. It didn't happen. So Jim went back to Wisconsin, and he came back over here selling Lander Blue. He was going around to shows and different collectors, and I bought some pieces from him. And while he still had some nice stones, I mean, perfect.
I'm sure.
Lander Blue. So
there was an estate down in Gallup. I can't remember the lady's name now, but a whole bunch of Lander Blue pieces came available then too recently, and I think that's
the other guy. He sold his collection,
and it was all coming out of Gallup. So but it's hard to find. So what do you think we should do with these stones?
He said he wanted a pendant.